WHPC at ncc.edu. Stay tuned. Herbally Yours will be right back.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP, we help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Herbally Yours. And you can visit us and meet up in person. We have trips to Chinatown. We have outside herb walks where we collect edible and medicinal plants. And we have online classes that grant CE credits if you're a professional, or you can get a certificate if you're not a specific professional. So you can find all of those at naturalnurse.com. And today we're talking to our guest, Sarah Channa, and she is the author of Moodtopia, Tame Your Moods, De-Stress, and Find Balance Using Healing Herbs and Aromatherapy. And thank you for the sharing that you did about the motherwort being used both for men and women. Now, in general, in your book, you have a lot of information. Besides herbs, you talk about color and aromatherapy. How are those used to help balance mood?
Well, we know that color is actually the vibrational energy that our eye sees as color. So what we're finding is that color can really affect how we feel. In the advertising world, they've known about the impact of color for forever. And studies show that when you look at a product, what color, what design is it helps you decide immediately whether you want to purchase that product or not. So color can definitely affect us. So when I work with clients, besides using herbs, and we're going to talk about some aromatherapy, I teach them a lot of little tips that will help them just feel better. So if you're having a gloomy day and you wear a color like a turquoise, which is soothing but invigorating, or you wear a bright yellow on a cloudy day, when you look in the mirror, you're going to see a little bit of burst of energy. So I ask my clients that are suffering with sadness or frustration or whatever emotion they feel is dominating their life to include more color in their life. We can go to the point where we can start painting our bedrooms and our bathrooms and our offices colors that do invigorate and give us energy. But if you can't take that on, you could just buy a gorgeous scarf in a really dynamic color, and when you look in the mirror or pass by a window, you're just going to feel that little bit of oomph. So sometimes I think that we forget that and we get into the certain colors that we wear. There's something called a color palette where you sit with a color professional and they look at your skin tone and the color of your eyes and the color of your hair, and they give you a palette of colors that invigorate you. And in my book, Moodtopia, I talk about a real story of a woman that showed up at work one day and everyone was saying, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? Are you feeling okay?" And she was feeling fine, Ellen, and she had no idea what was going on. And she passed a mirror and she saw that she was wearing this kind of beigey color. And she said, "Oh my gosh, the circles under my eyes look bigger." So she took advantage of it, she says, and she went over to her boss and she goes, "I'm just not feeling great." And she took the day off. And she was joking because the next day she wore a more vibrant color and people came to her and said, "Oh my gosh, you look look so much better today. So she realized that just by colors around her, a color she was wearing, it could impact the way she looked to someone else. And she jokes in the book and says that maybe she wanted to keep that dress in her closet in case she ever wanted to take a day off of work. But that convinced her about the power of color. And it's so funny, Ellen, because I have this one coral dress, and whenever I wear it, even strangers will come over to me and say, you look great. So that's my go-to color when I really feel that I need to look a little bit more vibrant than I'm feeling inside. So I really know the impact of color can make a very big difference, and that's really kind of an inexpensive way. You don't have to go to a professional. You can go get your color palette done, or you can do it on your own, and it's really a way to help with mood. So before we talk about aromatherapy, one thing I wanted to say was I teach my clients all the time. Let's say, and I'm making up a number, let's say that your stress out point, the point that you really get angry or frustrated, is when your cortisol levels go up to 300. I'm making up a number. So what a person needs to do is work in their lives, to bring their cortisol levels lower so that when frustrating things happen in your life, you're not up at a 300 where you really kind of explode. So instead of living at 200, I want you to work to bring your levels down to like 150. So that way you have this little play area where you're not going to feel overwhelmed. So aromatherapy is one of those things you can use. Now, I don't really care so much about what the clinical studies show, and I don't believe that aromatherapy is going to work as intensely as taking herbs orally and ingesting them in your body. But what I've really found is that when people include essential oils in their lives, it can act as a reminder of how they want to feel. For instance, we know that the olfactory system is very much associated with memories. So every summer I hike this canyon called Fryman Canyon in Los Angeles, and there's this one little part that has this pine smell, and it immediately reminds me of when I was 8 years old and in horse camp. So that's the power that scent has on our memory. So what I begin to show people is I have them, for a week. In the morning, smell an essential oil that boosts your energy. Maybe we'll choose grapefruit or lemon or lime or tangerine. These scents are a pick-me-up. So if you start to habituate to smell an essential oil like that in the morning, your subconscious will associate waking up with that smell. And if at the end of the day you choose a relaxing scent like lavender or sandalwood, your body will get into a habit to remember to relax. So we can use essential oils in so many ways, but I like to use them to start to train that body to respond in a way that's positive and in a way that's going to enhance my clients' lives.
That's excellent information on aromatherapy. Another one of my really favorite interventions. It's so safe, it's so effective. And I'd like to remind you, you are listening to Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ellen Kamite, the natural nurse. And my guest today is herbalist and author Sarah Chana Silverstein, and we are talking about her book, Moodtopia, Tame Your Moods, De-Stress, and Find Balance Using Healing Herbs and Aromatherapy. Now, what if someone's listening and is interested in this, but they're already taking a lot of pharmaceuticals that are, as you said, psychotropic type drugs?
Well, in that case, it's always best to work with an AHG, American Herbalist Guild herbalist, because we do have more information than people believe on the interaction with psychotropic medications and herbs. And a lot of women and men that come to me, they've been on these psychotropic drugs, and they may be feeling better, but they're not where they want to be. So that's when we can include 1 or 2 essential oils throughout their day. And there are a lot of herbs like lemon balm, which is an herb that's very easy to grow. You can have it in tea form, take it in tincture, which I prefer. And lemon balm is an herb for most medications. It's safe to take, and that's a calming, soothing herb that has this added addition that it's antiviral. So there are herbs that people can include in their lives, but of course, I would work with a professional if you're on many psychotropic drugs. Don't you agree, Ellen?
Well, absolutely. But you could start with aromatherapy because you're not taking that internally, and especially if you don't put it directly on your skin and you're just inhaling it. That shouldn't be
Absolutely.
a problem in terms of worrying about it. Why don't more doctors in America use herbs when we know, the science is so strong in terms of how well they work and the low risk of side effects?
Well, I think the reason is, and it's funny because I'm going to do a clinic tomorrow evening through Columbia University Medical School. And what I've learned speaking to med students and interns is that the curriculum does not include herbs. So I think we need to go back to the people that are writing the curriculums and asking them to introduce herbs, because I have found that a lot of doctors are anti-herbs because they don't know anything about it. And if you look at the curriculum of medical school, it's very intense, it's very overwhelming. They really don't feel that they can add something into their curriculum. So if we could get doctors, and slowly but surely it is being added at different medical schools, but it's just not part of their education. It's kind of like, I'm certainly not a car mechanic, so if something goes wrong with my car, I'm certainly not going to go over to the car mechanic and say, I think it could be my transmission or my alternator, because I'm not really sure how they work in regards to getting my car to move. So it's the same thing with doctors. It's just not part of their knowledge. But when doctors bring their wives to me, or when doctors come to me themselves, they're always fascinated, intrigued, inquisitive, and really happy at the response that they do get with herbs. It's just a glitch in the system that needs to be fixed.
Right. And we'll see if that ever gets fixed, because since herbs are in most cases much, much safer, as well as equally effective with a much lower risk of side effects, that is a threat to the pharmaceutical company. And I really actually think that has to do with the limited knowledge that doctors get.
Yes, and I do tell my clients, when you take a psychotropic med, you take that once a day. With herbs, it is important, in my experience, to try to take those herbs 3 times a day, because the brain reads herbs as food and dispels what it doesn't need. So I do a lot of pediatrics, and if a child has a bad reaction from an antibiotic, that antibiotic is going to be in their system for 24 hours in most cases. Whereas with herbs, even if you had a slight discomfort from it, the body will expel it so quickly. So pharmaceuticals, taking it once a day with our culture that's quick and fast and on social media and running and late, it is a lot easier than herbs. So I have to help teach my clients how to integrate in their lives the patience and the understanding of taking their herbs 3 times a day. So the education about herbs, Ellen, is more, it's broader than we understand. So when my clients begin to take their herbs, and I tell them, I go, 3 times a day is where our goal needs to be. But take it anywhere between 1 and 3 times a day as you begin to integrate it. It's okay. It's okay. You can take it one day, twice a day, the next day, once a day, the day after that, 3 times a day. So then they can get in that habit of learning to take it 3 times a day. So that's also a learning experience. Don't you agree?
I do, but we do want to tell our listeners that if you are on any medications, there are, as Sarah pointed out, possible interactions. So we do not suggest that you just start adding herbs in along with medications. It's a lifestyle where we begin to change diet, change exercise, work with your physician to perhaps decrease some of the medications, and then we're using herbs along with foods and prayer and meditation, and it's a whole program of natural lifestyle, which includes herbs. It's not you just pop them just like you've been popping your meds. It needs to be done in what we call an integrated way. So you know what? We are actually out of time, Sarah. Why don't you tell our audience where they can get in touch with you?
So you can find me on the web at sarahchana.com. That's SARACHANA.com. You can also find me at moodtopiabook.com. And my book, Moodtopia, is available all over the internet. Just put in Moodtopia, and you'll find my book.
Okay, and thank you for tuning into Herbally Yours, produced in the studios of 90.3 WHPC, Nassau Community College, Garden City, New York. For further information, email WHPC@ncc.edu.